Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Inside Spread podcast. My name is Kenny Claremont, and I am your host. Thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it. Episode number 2. We're excited about that, and we just really appreciate anybody who's taken their time out of their precious day to take a look at what the Inside Spread's got going for it. So, today we're talking about one of the most challenging and controversial hunts in the West, wolf hunting. This isn't a story about a successful harvest, but it is about the pursuit, the preparation, and the honest reality of chasing one of North America's most elusive apex predators. My guest today has spent countless hours watching, talking to hunters, meeting with ranchers, and scouting wolf country. He's honest about where he's at in his journey. He has not harvested a wolf yet, though. It is one of his goals. And that's exactly why we believe this is a valuable conversation, because it's about what it takes to chase a wolf. The country knowledge, the patience, the gear, the tactic, the mental game of hunting an animal that can move like the weather and kind of disappear like a ghost. Wolf hunting is hard. It's not like chasing whitetails with a predictable pattern or elk even with their seasonal movements. Wolves cover dozens to hundreds of square miles. They move fast, they stay quiet, they often remain completely invisible. A wolf that you hear howl on Tuesday could be hundreds of miles away by Friday. My guest has been preparing for his hunt. He's learning the science, talking to successful wolf hunters, studying the map, spending time in the Idaho backcountry. He's sharing everything he's learned about locating wolves, calling techs, gear selection, and the ethical considerations that every hunter needs to understand before committing to a wolf hunt. We're also going to talk about the Foundations for Wildlife Management Reimbursement Program, the role of predator management in a healthy ecosystem, and why wolf hunting demands a level of patience and country knowledge that most hunters just aren't used to. By the end of the episode, we hope that you'll have a clear understanding of what it takes to chase wolves, whether it's the right hunt for you or not. That's up to you. But we want to give you an opportunity to know how to prepare if you decide to take out the challenge. But before we bring in the guests, I want to mention just a few ways that you can support the Inside Spread and connect with us. Now, first of all, we have affiliates that have partnered with us: Academy Sports, King's Camo, and Ravens Crossbow. When you shop through their affiliate links that will be in our show notes, we earn a small commission at no extra cost to you. It's just a simple way you can support the podcast while also getting quality gear for your next hunt. Second, you can join our community at theinsidespread.com. We have got an online platform there for you to read about our hunts, you read about tips and tactics and strategies, and in the near future we'll actually be putting together an online community that will allow you to almost like a social media connect with other hunters within your state. The third way is to follow us on Instagram and Facebook for more hunting tips, gear reviews, and updated news on our episodes. That just allows us to continue to grow our audience. I really appreciate it. And finally, if you are enjoying the podcast, please leave us a review or a comment anywhere you get your podcast, whether it's Spotify or YouTube. It just takes 30 seconds to help us reach more hunters and get to a broader audience. So we really appreciate it. Well, that is enough for me. Let's bring in today's guests, and we'll talk about what it really takes to chase a ghost. It's going to be a good one. Thanks, everyone. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 2 of the Inside Spread podcast. I just want to thank you for joining us today. The Inside Spread is building a community around hunting, fishing, shooting, and conservation that's focused on connecting hunters, sharing real stories, and building skills. On today's show, we have Matt Myers, the writer for the Inside Spread and the owner of Double M Outdoors. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
All right, Matt, can you just take a minute and tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Well, again, my name is Matt Myers. I'm the owner of Double M Outdoors, which is a fishing guide service based out of Oregon. I've been a licensed guide out here since 2007, and do mainly fishing. However, I do run some hunting trips as well, mainly elk hunting trips in the fall and the winter. Here and there, that's not my deal. I just work for somebody on those, but the fishing is entirely my business. Um, I target salmon and sturgeon mainly on the Columbia River or the ocean outside of Astoria, Oregon. And those two fisheries are kind of my passion. And then the hunting, the guiding, that's also a big passion of mine. And so I like to definitely stay involved. I'm an avid hunter. Um, I have been since I was a tiny little kid. So I would say hunting is definitely my passion and as well as fishing. So um, yeah. Anyway, that's what I got going.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks for sharing. Um, Before we dive in real deep into this, can you just tell me really briefly, like, why should hunters even care about predator hunting at all?
Well, I think every hunter should be well versed and care deeply about predator hunting. I mean, our landscape has changed, obviously, as time has went on. Things are very different in 2025 than they were in 1900 or 1950 or 1980, any of that.
Mhm.
And predators have a big role. They certainly do good, but they can cause us as hunters and ranchers and farmers a lot of issues as well. So I think that it's very important to be on top of the issues of predators, especially out here in the West. The biggest thing we've got going on is wolves. They're in everybody's topic. They're every hunter you talk to almost anymore is knows something about the wolves, the issues they could or may not be causing. And I think it's like anything we do in life. It's you need to get informed, do your own research, and come up with your own opinion on what the action plan should be. But uh, wolves can be devastating on our wildlife. We've seen it firsthand in many states, and Canada, Alaska. They've all seen it. And here we are down here reintroducing them and trying to get them to grow when we spent many years trying to get rid of them. So I just
Mhm.
think it's important for everybody to be aware of the topic, every hunter, especially specifically, and form your own opinion, I guess, on what should be done. But um, it's a different landscape. So
Mhm.
we probably need to learn to live with them, but we need to manage them. And hunters are really the main way to manage them.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of leads me right into the next question. Wolf hunting is very controversial these days, even in the hunting community. How can we approach this hard topic, understanding that the management needs to happen from hunters and, obviously given by the states?
Well, it is quite a controversy. I think that the thing that we need to do is take, as not just hunters but people in society that are pro wolf, I guess we could say, we need to take the emotion out of it and understand that we're trying to mix wolves with wildlife populations,
Mm-hmm.
frankly, with people.
Mm-hmm.
As their packs grow and their territories grow, they get closer to where people live and that sort of thing, which is true with any predator or any
Yep.
wildlife. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that the thing to do is we need to look at it without emotion, and understand that they need to be managed.
Yeah.
Not that they need to be wiped back out. I don't know that they do. I don't know that they don't. I
Yeah.
have my own opinions. And I think my opinion is that we kind of got rid of them at one point, and or at least thinned them way down in most of the states, and then here we are bringing them back in, um, and here we are with that issue again, I guess.
Yeah.
The same issues they faced decades ago on what to
Yeah.
do with them, and here we are. Their packs are growing. Um, and they're causing a lot of issues on wildlife, in certain areas, and in certain areas I don't think that they are as much, but I think that the what I see a lot is emotion is into it, that people don't look at it with wildlife management or true wolf management for that matter. It's they're pretty, they're cool, they're cute, you
Mhm.
shouldn't be killing them, but the people that think that aren't the people that live with them. So um, you know emotion out of it, education into it is probably the biggest thing that we could do as hunters to get, non-hunters to understand what the impact of them is.
Certainly, yeah. I think it even, crosses lines with grizzly bears. I mean, it's pretty a lot of the same things. They're having a lot more human interaction, and they're having a lot more, farmer rancher interaction than they were even 5, 10 years ago. And so, how can we collectively just make wise decisions on how can we work with both sides there and try to figure out what is the best way to manage it. I think hunters should be included in that, how they
Oh,
handle it. So
oh,
just kind of dig in just a little bit more. You talked about in the article a little bit about how you know wolves travel just a lot. You might hear somebody, them somewhere on a Tuesday, and then by Friday they could be 100 miles away. How does that massive home range affect how you would approach scouting or even planning a hunt?
well, I mean that's the biggest thing about wolf hunting is in disclaimer, I have not killed one yet myself. But I've targeted them. I'm working towards it. It's definitely a game of patience and um, I mean they're the apex predator, so it's
Yep.
definitely on my bucket list to take one
Mm-hmm.
in the wild, not fair chase in the wild type stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean a wolf can cover. Again, a lot of my information is based on research, talking to other guys that hunt and trap and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. Trapping seems to be the number one way to consistently take wolves, but um, it's they can cover 20 miles probably plus in a day. So you see their tracks today, like you said, and by Friday they could be 100 miles away. They cover big areas. From what I gather, they do run kind of the same lines, as far as if they went through one drainage this week they'll probably be back there again.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't, you as a hunter you don't know when.
Yep.
So I think that for scouting, for trying to identify where to hunt, other hunters are probably one of your biggest tools. Is the guys that are out there chasing deer or elk or whatever, and they hear them howl in the morning or the evening. They find their tracks in the snow. I mean, those are going to be your first clues, and then from there, guys just got to figure out, um, I guess maybe where they're going, and it's a big job to effectively hunt them. And
Yeah.
most wolves, from what I've gathered, what I know, are primarily just taken incidentally. So the
Yep.
guy that's out there elk hunting happens to see one on the ridge over and can get a shot at them.
Yep.
Targeting them is is pretty tough. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in the woods uh, since they've been reintroduced into Oregon, Idaho, and out here. I spent a lot of time hunting and trapping, and I've only seen two. Um, Neither one could I have ever, targeted or taken a
Mm-hmm.
shot at. But I have seen their tracks a lot in the snow when I've been out trapping, coyotes and bobcats, and the covering 20 miles, 30 miles a day is definitely true because I've personally seen their tracks in one spot, and the next day they're miles and miles away in another area.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that uh, just figuring out a range where they might be, utilizing other hunters, and is your starting point, anyways.
Yeah. It, while you're talking there, kind of just brought up a question. You mentioned like wolves sometimes are likely an animal of opportunity. Maybe it's you are already out hunting elk. Is that kind of what your approach is going for it? Or are you looking to try to specifically to target a wolf?
Well, a little of both. I mean, my bucket list hunt right now, or my mission in the wintertime is to take a wolf,
Mm-hmm.
specifically on a wolf hunt.
Yep.
Whether that happens or not, I don't know. It could take me years.
Yep.
Might never happen. But
Mm-hmm.
here in Idaho, we can buy an over-the-counter wolf tag. So when we're out deer hunting, elk hunting, if we see one, we can darn sure take it that way. But my my venture is kind of based around specifically just going after wolves.
Okay.
So, and trying to learn everything I can about them and how to hunt them, where to hunt them, when to hunt them, and kind of, formulate a plan as to what I'm saying. Like, a coyote, for example, they have a much smaller range.
Yeah.
But if I'm out trapping in the winter and I find a coyote track or even a bobcat track for that matter, I can pretty much, I know that coyote or bobcat's going to come back and probably step almost in that same track at some point. It
Yeah.
might be dry out, no snow. You might not know that, but they're going to run pretty much the same little area. Wolves, from what I gather, are similar, but their area is much more vast.
Yeah.
They're covering hundreds of miles, not 20 square miles or 10 square miles like a cat or a coyote might do. So predicting when and where they're going to come back and step is definitely a lot harder. Although we know that can be done because trappers up in these western states, Idaho, Montana, and stuff. There's some guys out there very successful with their wolf trapping. So,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, that's the thing. So, I mean, they might come through a drainage here this week, and it could be, I don't know, it could be 4, 5, 6 weeks before they come back.
Yeah.
But they probably will come right back through that area at some point.
Yeah. So when it comes to like looking at a map or even scouting or while you're out in the field, uh, what are you following like elk movements? What is good wolf country look like?
So for me, exactly what I'm doing personally, and there's probably some varying opinions on it, or guys know a lot more than I do, but I happen to live right in an elk migration zone. So uh, there are certain times I can go outside at the right, before the sun comes up. I can hear wolves howl in the neighboring ridge lines around even just where I live. So, but wolves are wary creatures. I mean, they're going to want to be in, um, just like us. They're going to want to be where they can see, um, and kind of stay the top of the food chain, the apex
Mm.
predators. So they're, big drainages, big ridge tops that they can run. That's where you're going to find them. Even maybe down in the bottom of them, running the creeks. Uh, but yeah, you're going to look in. So where I'm at, we've got big drainages, big timbered
Yeah.
drainages, and that's where they seem to run. Is those tops of those ridges. You'll the in fact, the only one I've ever seen up here was I was on one side of a drainage and he was on the other,
Yeah.
and just kind of running. He wasn't at the skyline, but was down below the skyline and just kind of working that ridge top himself, just like I was doing as a hunter.
Yeah.
So I think those are the places to look. And that's where I live. That's the country I'm in. I'm sure it probably changes a little bit depending on where you're at and and whatnot. But um, certainly that for me, the migration, being in an elk migration zone is a big deal, and we're in
For
one
sure.
of the higher impact wolf areas, in the state, which makes sense
Yeah.
given the wildlife patterns here.
For sure. And when it comes to actual wolf sign, you know, obviously from everything I've seen that they're just a lot bigger. So how do you differentiate that wolf sign from other predators?
Well, number one would be for me, anyways, is just a track. I mean, a wolf track looks like a dog track, but much bigger. I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be the size of a grown man's hand. The length of it. So if you're I guess not super savvy on tracks, and you get the chance, look at a dog track like a smaller dog, like Australian Shepherd, and then look at a German Shepherd. Like their paw prints will be vastly. The German Shepherd will be very much bigger,
Yeah.
and a wolf is even bigger than that. So, I mean, if you see a dog print that is the size of your hand, that's a wolf.
Yeah.
Um, and then in the times of the year we don't have snow or mud or anything to find tracks in. Um, the same thing is true basically if you look at um, their scat. It's bigger. it's just going to have hair and stuff in it, and whatnot. So pretty actually very easy to identify if you put a little effort into just identifying a couple of those things. Any hunter will figure it out very fast. What's a wolf droppings versus a coyote, or a wolf track versus a dog track or a coyote track.
Yeah, for sure. That tracks along with it, what I've read, obviously, and heard. I mean, they're so large compared to every other predator, outside of a bear. So they're a little bit easier to identify just based on that. So
Totally. And even looking at their stride, if they're leaving good prints, over a dog, a wolf, at least in Idaho here, I think that most of them are probably around 80 pounds, maybe 100 on the bigger ones. But um, so their stride is longer. So
yeah,
again, very, very easy to identify them if you just figure out a couple of those little things.
you mentioned in your article briefly about how electronic calls are changing the game for hunting. What is making these calls potentially more effective and helpful for hunters?
Well, for me anyway, personally, the biggest thing that I or the biggest advantage e-callers have given me is the ability to put the caller away from myself. So uh not to mention I mean e-callers, if you have a new one versus one from 10 or 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
they're just exceptional, right? The sound
Yeah,
quality, they don't sound hollowy and echoey like they used to. I mean, they sound real, at least to a human ear.
yeah,
They obviously work. People use them. I use them. But for me, the biggest thing is getting the call away from me. I can put the call 50, 60, 75 yards away, and I'm sitting where I can see all the way around me. And it takes it takes the whatever predator's coming in, they're looking at that call.
yeah,
Maybe you've got a little rabbit decoy or something with it, which is I use a little tail.
yeah,
And it just gives you that freedom that they're not going to key in on where you're sitting as the caller versus the old mouth call where they could key in on you and
yeah.
no problem.
And like
So I think that's the biggest game changer.
for sure, and think even like just thinking about the old days, and you might be calling them right to you instead of in front of you where you want to shoot them, or to the side where you want to shoot them, wherever your lanes are. Versus they're coming right after you and they're looking for food, and you're the
Totally.
food.
Totally. And the thing about a wolf, and again, I haven't killed one myself, but I've studied it quite a bit, watched everything I could, talked to everything I could, and wolves are again, they're the um, their senses are high. Like coyotes are pretty crafty critters. They can definitely outsmart a guy once in a while, but most of them come balling into wherever you're at, right? They'll
Mm-hmm.
come up popping over the hill or whatever. They might lock up a little bit before your call, which is usually a good thing because then we get, gives you an opportunity to take one. But wolves are, and not to mention where there's one wolf, there's usually a couple. So you've got a
Yeah,
lot of eyes on you. And they're just very coyotes are wary. I don't know if wolves wary is the right word, but they're definitely more tuned in and keyed in on everything that's going on around them more than I think you'd see with most other critters.
mm-hmm.
Uh, predators you're trying to call in. They're just highly their senses are very high.
Nice. So maybe more on the strategic gear side. Uh, what do you think that you know what would be your go-to setup for a rifle for wolves?
Well, my rifle that I'm using is a Tikka with in a 6.5 PRC. With the wolves, it's I'm not real worried, I guess, about the size of the hole I would put in the hide.
Yeah.
Like you might be if you were a trapper or somebody doing it to try to sell the pelts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think a 6.5. I mean, wolves are fairly big. So again, they're pushing 100 pounds, maybe more, depending on where you're at,
Yeah.
and where you're hunting them at. So a guy wants something that's gonna
Yeah,
do the job.
gonna take them. Yeah,
And but we don't need to be overpowered either. So and again, we talked earlier about where we're going to find wolves. Oftentimes, it's going to be, they're going to be across the canyon, a drainage draw that you're going to need to make a fairly long shot. I think
yeah,
a 6.5 PRC is or something around there is a great caliber for that. There's certainly many that would work, but um, I feel like when I finally get one, it's going to be a 4 or 5, 600 yard shot.
yeah,
And which those are at the mat. I mean, 500, 600 yards, it would have to be the perfect shot before I'm going to shoot at one. But my rifle can easily do that with the right setup and the right conditions. And I think be a great size for them, but certainly down to even, I mean, a 22 250 with a good shot placement, 243, any of those calibers are gonna be fine.
yeah.
But that's just kind of where I've landed. I'm a really big fan of that 6.5 PRC. So for
Nice.
lots of different hunting, I've in my guiding, I've seen them take deer and elk over and over and over and over, and it's just a great caliber. Good for long range, good for lots of things.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. That can be flexible too. You can use it for more than one thing. I think sometimes we kind of getting these ideas that we might need a lot of different calibers for different types of game, but reality is you can find some versatile ones out there that can kind of be a do it all for you.
Oh, for sure, especially with the the what we've done here the last many years with these new calibers like the PRC calibers and that 6.5 Creedmoor was kind of seemed like kind of maybe the start of it, and it's just they're just amazing calibers. So yeah, you could pack that same gun and go deer hunting, and if you see a wolf, it's the perfect caliber for it as well. So
All right.
it just kind of fits all the. It's just personally I like one gun. I don't like the switch guns when I go deer hunting or wolf hunting or elk hunting. I like the gun. I like my gun.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with it. I
Yep.
know it'll shoot where I need it to, and it feels good. It carries good. It does everything. And so I'm kind of a fan of just having one good rifle and sticking with it.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, so a little transition here for people who may not know. You did talk about it in the article about the F4WM reimbursement program. Can you just tell us a little bit about that and a little bit about how it works?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I know. So I know it's a great program. It's a great foundation. It's uh, it's put into effect strictly to help with these wolf overpopulation issues that we have. And it's the Foundation for Wildlife Management. And so I know I've talked to people, through my travels that that it's kind of, I guess the wolf thing with them is a bounty. It's not a bounty. You do need to join the Foundation for Wildlife Management. They have a yearly um, member fee. I forget what it is offhand. It's not very much. It's like $60 or something. And don't quote me on that. Could be a little different, but it's very reasonable. It's going to a great cause. They're highly involved in.
I can stick the link in the show notes so people can look it
Perfect.
up. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, they're highly involved in a lot of outdoor game management, not just wolves. They're I mean they're just a leader in it. But so it's not a bounty program. People will see their ads or flyers or whatever, and it'll say $1,000 for a wolf and maybe 1,500 in a different area and 2,000 in a different area. And that's obviously based on the wolf issues going on per area.
Hmm.
But what it is a reimbursement program. So which is very similar, but you don't just get to shoot a wolf and get money. You need to provide them with um, receipts and whatnot for what you've spent to hunt wolves. So, your gas, maybe you bought a snowmobile so you could go chase wolves all winter. You
Hmm.
you could right or get reimbursed for part of that. A new rifle, whatever. But so if you join, you do need to save your receipts, and and have some proof on that you bought these items specifically to wolf hunt.
Yeah.
But if you follow their steps, which are very simple, and we all spend gas to go chase wolves, we all buy bullets and guns, and I mean, just save your receipts and have them ready for that day comes when you get a wolf. I mean, spend $60 or whatever it is to join them, and you might be out elk hunting this year and get a wolf, and you might be able to get a quite a little bit of money back for it. So I
Nice.
think it's a stellar program. It's I think what they're doing is great. I think we should all be members. Even if you're not out here in the West, and you don't hunt out here, it's still a great cause
Yep.
to support them. So definitely take a look at the link when that gets posted and see for yourself. But again, it is a reimbursement program. It is not a bounty program.
Cool. Yeah, that seems very interesting to me. Just thinking about like, you know, uh, especially hunting in the West, there's can be a lot of expenses when you're driving around mountains and you're, you know, going to places maybe you haven't been before and things like that. And so it could be a good opportunity for hunters to check into it when they're considering that out west. So
Totally, totally. It all helps.
so now we're just gonna kind of transition a little bit about and hit up what you're doing next. You know, what do you got going on as far as hunting this season? Maybe a little bit about maybe some feature articles that you may are thinking about writing, or maybe already have started. So kind of go ahead and tell us what you got going on.
Okay. Well, so this is one of the first years in many that I'm actually going to just be hunting for myself
Hmm.
and my son. I got a boy that's 13, and um, he's gotten the chance to do quite a little bit of hunting, but with his with my job, we certainly miss a lot of stuff, and
Yeah.
so we are starting this month. In fact, tomorrow, October 10th, we're starting our deer season in Idaho. And we're gonna deer hunt here for the next couple weeks, and then that rolls right into elk season. And elk season is going to be um, it's all in the same area, pretty close to where we live, so we can go right from home and hunt um, several different units here in Idaho with the over-counter tags. We've got a lot of options on where we can go, so we're going to do that, and then elk season, the rifle elk season up here, which starts at the end of October. I'm just going to take my son. I'm not going to hunt that myself. I'm going to put as much effort as I can into getting him an elk,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to go do a muzzleloader elk hunt later in the winter here. So
That's
um,
awesome.
yeah, so I got a lot to look forward to. I've got a lot of hunting coming up in the next 2 months. I've got an Oregon muzzleloader tag too. I can hunt for elk and and stuff. So that's just kind of what I got going on. So this is kind of Matt's year to hunt. So I
Nice.
missed a lot
Sounds
of it
awesome.
over the years, which is fine. But
Yeah.
this is I'm going to put all my time into it here in the next couple months.
Yeah. That sounds awesome.
And
Sounds fun.
and I'm going to try to get a wolf this winter. So that's kind of the big one.
Yeah. Awesome.
So,
Well, if there's anything
but
else you want to cover real quick, you want to talk about where they can find you. Obviously, we know you're a writer for the Inside Spread, but where else can they find you online and connect with you, chat with you? The
yeah,
floor is yours.
the easiest thing you guys to do is you can Google up my website. It's Double M Outdoors. So the word double, letter M, outdoors. You type that into Google there, it should pop up a million different times, and you can find my phone number, my email on there. Um, one of the other things that I do when I'm not guiding and hunting on my own is I work for a great company called Hosted Hunts. And you can find them online too, hostedhunts.com. And we are a, a, a booking service for hunts all over the world. So we've got everything from and fishing trips as well, in lots of different places, Canada, Alaska, and whatnot. But I do consulting for them. So anybody out there that's looking to elk hunt or deer hunt, especially out west, I kind of specialize in that, I guess, since that's what I
Hmm.
do. You can get a hold of me through hostedhunts.com or doublemoutdoors.com, and be glad to talk to you about what you want to do. We've got lots of good elk hunting opportunities, lots of good deer hunting, everything from archery, rifle, muzzleloader. We've got a lot of good hunts up north in Canada for big whitetail, big muleys. Um, some really good elk hunts up there as well. But yeah, so that's usually an evening deal for me, but you can reach out anytime via phone or email. We'll set up a time and we'll chat and we can I'll be glad to help anybody figure out, where to go for their
Yeah.
whatever their dream is as far as whatever where they're at on their hunting.
Yeah.
Um,
Sounds awesome.
and that's a pretty fun gig for me. I really enjoy it. I love helping guys and girls that kind of don't know what to do or where to go. Help them get set up. We've got outfitters that are just stellar, been with Hosted Hunts for decades, and um, price points from affordable for the normal working man up to whatever. So you can just get in touch and we'll talk about it.
Awesome. Well, thanks,
And
sir.
we've even got outfitters that do wolf hunts. So
Yeah,
if
awesome.
somebody's looking for something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for taking a little bit of time just covering that. I mean, I know you have a lot of things going on even when you're not fishing, so you're a pretty busy guy, and so thank you for taking a little bit of time here today just to cover a little bit about wolves, and we look forward to having you on another show in the future.
Completely. No, thank you as well. And it's always fun. And I think here myself and the Inside Spread, the whole team, all of us are here to help and we all enjoy the outdoors and hunting and fishing and so I think it's a great community for your readers and listeners to join into and it's a great way to get a hold of a guy like me too to help you with your hunts or your fishing trips or whatever. So
Yeah, so,
yeah, I appreciate it as well.
yeah. Well, thanks again, and we'll just thanks everybody who came to listen to the show today, watch the show today across our platforms, whether it's YouTube or Spotify or hitting us on Facebook or Instagram. If you can, take a little bit of time and rate our podcast, it will just help us give out more quality content to all the people out there that follow the Inside Spread. So, thank you very much again today, and we will see you next time.
All right, thank you.